Hey guys, my name is DJ Randy T. Welcome to my first ever tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about how I made my debut track, which I call Everybody. You can listen to it on YouTube and SoundCloud. Yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. So, Everybody is a simple track, simple tech house track. This is the arrangement, so we have an intro, which is simple, and then we have kind of like this two drop section with a build up in the middle, and then a final break and build up, and then the final drop. So that's basically how it works. And then if you haven't listened to it, I'll show you just a bit of this part. And that's basically what Everybody sounds like. It's built off of like a very simple bass line and a vocal, and then obviously the percussions. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with this. First thing I want to say is that there are two project files that I'm not going to let you guys download it, but there's two project files I'm going to show you. One is this file right here, which is kind of like the song file, I guess, and then I have another like master file, which I'll show in a separate video. So let's get to it. First of all, we have the percussions, and basically the percussion is so simple in this, and anyone can do it really. So first we have the drums, and the kick is made out of two layers, like a lot of these things actually, and it sounds like this alone. And then this top layer is for the bass and the thump, and I did a little bit of processing on it. I just turned down the bass a little bit, and I'll just quit these actually. One thing I hate about FL Studio is how it opens everything when you open a project. But yeah, so I turned down the bass a little bit, and then I took out the highs in this EQ. And the reason why I turned down the bass in this is more for like mixing purposes. I just, I didn't need as much bass. Yeah. And then I compressed it a little bit, or actually maybe this looks like a lot actually. Yeah, I compressed it, and then gave it some gain. And then I just made it in mono, which is pretty redundant probably because this was probably already in mono. But yeah, so that's the top kick, or not the top kick, the thump and the bass, and then here's the top kick, which sounds like that, and then I just took out the bass, and that's all. And then I bussed them to my kick bus, which is just slightly EQ'd. I took out a little bit of the low end and a little bit of the low mids, and then I did the same for this one. I guess it was too much, so I took it out. And then I compressed it once again, but a little bit more light, just to kind of glue it, I guess. So that's the kick, and then here's the hi-hats. Now it's made out of two layers. This first one is kind of a closed hat. It sounds kind of like a shaker. And how I arranged them is actually, so in the drop section, so like this section, sorry about that. Let's get to it. Like I was saying, we have the hi-hat, which kind of sounds like a shaker, and I arranged it in such a way so that when the drop hits, the hi-hats actually come in. So, for example, it's like this. So when the drop comes in, you're getting that full sound. But yeah, so we have this shaker one, and that is hi-hat 1. Yes, hi-hat 1. I just took out the bass and increased the treble, and then I did the same for hi-hat 2, which is this one, the one that's giving you more release and more I don't know, hi-hat-y sound. So you're kind of getting this like transient of the closed hat and then the hi-hat giving you that release, and yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I just did the same processing, took out the bass, put up the highs, and then all of my percussion, by the way, is going to this percussion bus, except the kick, which I just put some limiting and EQ to take out a little bit of the bass. So yeah, that's the hi-hat. And then also you can see that at the end of the phrase I did a little bit of a variation, just to signify that the phrase is ending, and that's just really repeated throughout. So now let's go through the snares, or the claps really. They're not really snares. And it sounds like this. It's just 2 layers, and I don't think they're both layers are kind of panned to the left and the right. This is the first one. So it's kind of giving you that kind of like mid frequencies of the clap. And then the other one is kind of giving you a little bit more of that body and that high end. So when you put them together, it makes a subtle difference, because this one is definitely making more volume, or it's definitely easier to hear. But it kind of gives you that more full sound, and the reason why I like to layer my claps or my snares is because it just makes it sound more unique and different from what the sample was originally. And then also what I like to do with my claps is I like them really snappy, so I usually turn the out not all the way up usually, but in this case all the way up. And then this one was already kind of short, so I left it the way it is. So that's how it is. And then I did a little bit of EQing and apparently a lot of compression. So EQ, pretty simple, just boosting the high mids and the trebles. Nothing too fancy. And nothing too fancy about this whole entire track. You know, it's very simple, and really anyone could do this really easy. So the next thing is this like percussion thing. I don't even know, weird sound. So that's that, and I just called it perk. And it's got some reverb. And then I guess I made this 595 hertz resonating. I don't know. I don't know why I did that. I guess it sounded good. I think this one is also on the same. Yeah, this one is also on the same track layer with some reverb, EQ. So you kind of get these weird sounds, and they're kind of I think it gives the groove of the whole thing a little bit more interest. So when it's all put together, it sounds like this. And then at the end of the phrase, I also added some extra stuff, so it sounds like this. So again, just to add a little bit more interest. And then the last thing I have is a cymbal, which is kind of a reverse cymbal, and it is used to kind of sweep into the next phrase. And also it adds a little bit more interest to the beat. So all of that will sound like this once we put it on. So you kind of hear that sweeping in. And then next we have the bass, and full disclosure, I made this project a little while ago. I just released the track though. And there's a lot of things that I would definitely change about it, but I thought it was, fine enough for me to kind of quote-unquote release it on YouTube and SoundCloud. Link in description. But yeah, so this bass line isn't as deep as I probably would have made it now. One thing is that because of the sub, I didn't put the octave down. So it probably could have hit a lot harder if I did it. I'm not even going to try it because I might be sad. It might make me sad because it might be a lot better. But yeah, my bass is just made in Helm, as you can see. It's a free plugin that you can get at the Helm website. So yeah, it's just a really simple bass line with a filter, and it's just 2 saw waves and then a sub oscillator. Both of the saws are tuned down by 12 semitones or 1 octave. Yeah, I didn't really play with the filter envelopes or the amp envelopes. I just literally just put it on. And then over here you can see this is my sidechain. I sidechained it just using the volume automation. I didn't use any plugins. And then this automation is just automating the band frequency, which I will show you. I believe it's this one. Yes, it is this one. So basically in the drop, I want the bass to hit harder, and my arrangement trick, I guess, for doing that is to just automate the bass. So when it is building up over here, you're getting less bass, and then when it is in the drop, you get more bass, since it is, you know, filling up more of the spectrum, as opposed to this where I'm cutting it out. And then it'll sound like this alone. So yeah, that's that. And then with the kick, and then that side chain's kicking in, of course. I also put some good sound goodizer on it, and then a little bit more EQ, just putting down the bass like I did for the kick, like we saw at the start. And then I just made it in mono, just to make sure. And yeah, super simple. You could do it with basically any VST synthesizer plugin.